we're here to make a new type of news.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's January 19th here in Seoul. I'm Yoon, and you're watching News Generation. Joining me in the studio is Park Ki-hoon.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And Brooke Prince.
Hello, nice to be here.
All right, now both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. As usual, let's start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending on social media over the past 24 hours. China has seen its population drop for the second consecutive year in 2023 due to record low birth rates and a wave of COVID-19 deaths. The National Bureau of Statistics said the total number of people in China came down by 2.08 million, or 0.15%. Total deaths last year also rose 6.6%, the biggest rise since 1974 during the Cultural Revolution. Birth rates, on the other hand, hit a record low at 6.39 births per 1,000 people. This was a 5.7% drop compared to the year before. Moving on to news in Korea, Seoul will be launching a monthly transit pass by May that offers refunds of up to 53% of the passengers' transportation fares. Officials have decided to implement this so-called K-Pass 2 months earlier than scheduled, and the transit card will be applicable for all public transport methods, including the new high-speed commuter trains GTX-A. The pass will give back a certain amount of the fare passengers have to pay to use public transit based on their income brackets. And studies show that if the government raises cigarette prices 10% every year from now, the number of male smokers by the year 2030 will drop by 25%. And that's according to the Korean Society for Research on Nicotine and Tobacco, which has been trying to find the most effective measures to achieve the Korean government's plans made in 2021 to reduce the number of adult male smokers by 25% in 10 years. Currently, a pack of 20 cigarettes is around $3.35 here in Korea, which is lower than the average price found in OECD member countries. And the average for these countries is around $8. And the research team who found these results stressed the need for the Korean government to better communicate with the public on the health hazards of smoking and negotiate a price hike. Now, here in the studio, what do you think about this news story, Brooke?
Well, I've been living in Korea for 7 years, and people often ask me, is there anything you don't like about living in Korea? And I can only ever think of one answer, and it is the smoking. Because personally, I have asthma, so it can be difficult for me walking down the streets of Seoul sometimes because there's just so much secondhand smoke. So while I don't ever want to interfere with someone's personal decisions with their bodies, their lives, I do think smoking is one of those things that can hurt other people. So I agree with the government's efforts to move forward with trying to reduce the smoking population. I think it will help better the overall health of Korean society and our future generations as well.
And it's worth noting that the effective measure would be raising the price of cigarette packs, given that they're relatively cheap compared to other parts of the world. What are your thoughts on this?
I always found cigarettes sold in Korea were much cheaper compared to other countries. Even with the price hike, a packet of cigarettes in Sydney, Australia would probably cost you around 40 Australian dollars, which is around 8 times more expensive than the ones sold in Korea.
Wow.
And when I was back in Sydney, it was around $25.
That's still quite expensive.
We still thought it was very expensive, but that did help a lot of people quit, and high tobacco taxation has obviously shown positive results in reducing the number of smokers and also preventing young people from actually picking it up in the first place. So I think, like what Brooke said, the Korean government is heading in the right direction because, we all know that smoking poses numerous health risks like cancer, along with stinky breath, yellow teeth, and much more.
Exactly, and it's quite worth noting that other countries like Australia are already doing effective measures as to raising the prices of the packs of cigarettes in order to stop people from smoking. So hopefully Korea will take that measure soon. Now, switching gears to our main discussion topic of the day, many foreign artists who come to Korea to do a concert say they're awed by their fans and how they make the most of their experience. And today we're going to delve into the unspoken concert rules here in Korea. So firstly, do you guys watch a lot of concerts and performances on a yearly basis, starting with you, Yoon?
Believe it or not, I used to do stage acting back in the day.
Really?
Teatro, which is commonly known as the Broadway of Korea. And while practicing for my performance, I would often watch other plays to not only just kind of learn the field of acting, but also to find out how it feels to be in the audience perspective, watching a play. And being an entertainer is not an easy job when it comes to pleasing the audience. And I know how much work that needs to be put in. And I actually had the privilege to see concerts of famous singers like Park Hyo-shin, Psy, and of course Charlie Puth very recently,
Yeah.
along with well-known musicals like Chicago and Rebecca. But all in all, it is always a fantastic experience to watch any kind of performance and concerts. And it's definitely worth paying the money.
I too love watching all types of concerts, whether it be K-pop artists coming in or theatrical concerts from musicals, all the way to even, as you mentioned, like acting on stage. Now, Brooke, you've actually been working as a musical actress right now. And as a person who's on stage as well, how would you characterize the Korean audience and the concert culture here?
That's right. Well, first, I just want to say I was an avid enjoyer of Korean performances before I got the opportunity to be on stage myself. I made my musical debut in Il Te Nore recently, and the audiences have just been fantastic. They're so responsive but respectful at the same time. They laugh, they cry, they give us really warm applause. And so it's just been an honor to perform in front of them. And I think one of the things that touched me the most is how much they've shown their support along the entire rehearsal process up until us actually performing. I remember during the rehearsal process, they would send treats and little bags of gifts, merchandise. They gave us hoodies for the warm, to stay warm during the cold. So I was very touched by that. I was very surprised. I didn't know that was a part of the culture here, but I think it really just goes to show the love, dedication, and appreciation that the fans here have for the arts.
I think we can say Korea is definitely characterized into two words, 정 and 열정.
Yes.
And if I loosely translate that into English, 정 is referring to how we develop this sort of affinity to people once we see them for a while, and then 열정 being passion. We're very passionate people, as you can see from our concert audience culture. But to better compare Korea's concert culture to concerts abroad, we asked our viewers to share their own thoughts. So take a look at the screen to find out what three of them had to say. Tier's Bell said there's a lot of unwritten rules in this. Punctuality, silence during the performance as to not disturb the performers, and many others, but the most crucial is to dress at a minimum of business casual. Bell King said, when I moved to Thailand to teach, I was shocked to find that many of the Thai and Chinese parents would have open conversations during the entire performance. This is very different from in the US, my home, where any talking or interrupting would be seen as very rude, and other audience members would shush them. Tasmia said, I can share one piece of audience etiquette when a male celebrity is on a talk show, and if you're given the chance to talk to him, make sure to call him Baya, the equivalent of Hyung and Oppa, regardless of age. For the female celebrities, we call them Apu. The reason for this is because the celebrities love feeling young. Wow, it was really amazing to hear all these different types of concert etiquette found in different parts of the world. But there are some downsides to our concert culture here in Korea, right, Kyung? Could you explain what they are?
Yes, there is a new term trending right now in the musical arena called corpse playgoing or play watching, which in Korean it's 시체 관극. Basically, it just means watching a musical like a dead body.
Oh gosh.
Like this.
I'm trying to imagine our audience members doing that, and I think as a performer I'd feel so self-conscious if they didn't make any reaction.
It's a little uncanny.
Right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's almost like making no noise throughout the whole performance,
Wow.
and this has become a debatable issue. I mean, I do understand the seats are very small and close to each other,
Right.
and although it is basic etiquette, to not talk, turn off your electronic devices, or not laugh or cry too loud
Right.
during the performance, because it can disturb the performance on stage, but those who are super sensitive against these kind of actions, they take it to another level by asking others to wear minimal clothing that doesn't make any rustling sounds.
To that degree,
Yeah, to that
wow.
degree. And they take it to another level by even taking pictures of those kind of people and uploading it in their own online community sites and kind of criticizing them, saying, they're not very, well-mannered.
So they
Wow.
want everyone to be silent like a corpse.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing this type of culture. Are there any other drawbacks that you've seen in our concert culture here in Korea?
Well, that was fascinating to learn about. I hadn't
Yeah.
heard about that before, but I would say, I talked earlier about the passion, right, of the fan base, and I think it's a beautiful thing. But the problem is when you have such a beautiful, pure thing, you're always going to have people in the world that want to take advantage of that, right? And so I think scalping is a huge issue here in Korea. I myself was a victim of something like this, where I wanted to get tickets for a concert, but I wasn't fast enough to get them, so I thought, oh, I'll just try to get them from someone online. Well, it turns out he sold the same ticket to 50 different people.
Oh, no.
And so luckily we were able to, they caught him and he was punished for what happened. But this is an incident that happens very often because it's so hard to get tickets here.
It is.
It really is. One of my most vivid memories as an English teacher is one of my students did a presentation on how to get K-pop tickets in Korea. And I had no idea it was such a huge thing. They train. They have applications to train on how to click. And nowadays they even have what are called macros.
Exactly.
Which are automated programs that do the clicking for you.
Right.
So it's like, as a human, how am I supposed to compete?
Right.
And so I do think while it's a beautiful thing that we're so passionate about our favorite artists, it does lead to this other sort of dark industry of scalping and trying to get tickets in any way possible. So that is something I think Korea could maybe look at and work on moving forward.
Exactly. Those are some areas of improvement, but there's definitely some upsides to our concert culture, whether that be at classical concerts, musicals, theatrical concerts, or even K-pop concerts. I think the biggest one has to do with our fervent passion. As I mentioned before, Korea is a nationality of being passionate people.
We are.
So what do you think are the pros behind our fervent passion concert culture?
Yes, we are, very passionate, but at the same time, we have this word called hung inside us. It basically just means like sense of joy and excitement and just having fun in general. And you can tell this when you go to a karaoke with a Korean.
Yes.
They will put on a performance.
Absolutely.
Especially when they're drunk. Anyway, so this inner energy is shown in the performance culture as well. The fans really voice their love and support by singing along with them. It's called daechang, like
Yes.
everyone else singing with them, with the singer as well. And even turning on their flashlights on their smartphones, which actually look like stars in the night
Right.
sky.
Beautiful.
And I've actually experienced this when I went to the Charlie Puth's concert very recently. They all started, turning on their flashlights. And I thought, what's going on? I thought there was something wrong with the lighting. But like from my perspective, and of course from Charlie Puth's perspective, it would actually look like, like real stars in the night sky, and it actually looked like one. So I was busy actually, filming that part, not
Taping
Charlie
the
Puth.
audience.
Yeah, taping the audience. So I think I was really amazed to see, this kind of passion that Koreans show in the cultural performance culture.
Exactly. And you mentioned a great point. You said you didn't like film Charlie Puth, but the audience, right? I think it's all about the concert culture here. That's all a part of the experience. Seeing other people really enjoy the songs they're singing along. And that type of passion is really contagious. And that's what
Yes.
makes Korean concerts so fun. But as a musical actress right now, how would you really define our audiences here and how would you interact with them?
Oh, they're just fun. It's just so much fun. And I think if you've never been to a performance in Korea before, you should absolutely go. It's just a totally different experience. The performances are so well produced, well organized, safe. You don't have to worry about being shoved or someone yelling in your ear. Everyone is very respectful. And especially if you go to like a K-pop concert, for example, when you go to sit down, there's usually on your seat like a little banner and a little bag full of like stickers and
Right.
gifts. There'll be special fan events where they'll do things like at the Charlie Puth concert where they'll hold the banner up and they'll sing to the artist, things like that. And so it's just those little touches that enhance the experience, make it really worth the money, I think.
Exactly. In order for you to get the full experience, you need to actually go there and
Yes.
enjoy all the goods and also see what people around you are doing. And to better find out what made this type of concert culture among our generation, we're now going to include a culture and arts management expert in our talks. Stay tuned for our live interview. Let's now talk to Ji-Won, an adjunct professor at Kyunghee University who specializes in culture and arts management. Welcome, Professor Ji.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Now, Professor Ji, I'd like to ask you the first question. How would you characterize particular millennials and Gen Z's traits at concerts, whether that be at K-pop concerts or mainly theatrical concerts?
Yeah, I believe for the younger generations, theatrical experience would rather be participating than just watching the shows. So they would like to share what they experience or how they feel together with the other spectators, either in person or through the diverse social media platforms, such as uploading reaction videos on YouTube or writing reviews on the online community or creating their own souvenirs based on the shows or the artists. And moreover, so they actually would love to contribute to developing or producing theatrical productions in any rate. From this point of view, immersive theater has been more popular forms in recent years all over the world, including South Korea.
Professor, why do you think such theatrical culture has formed among young adults in Korea?
In terms of the manners or interactions, the audiences in South Korea are different depending on the genre of performing arts. I mean, the theatrical or non-theatrical genres. As you guys mentioned already, like a concert, K-pop concert is totally different from the musical or straight plays. So actually, specifically in theater, the largest group of theater goers are much younger than any other major marketplaces in the world. And also comparing to Broadway in New York or West End in London, the audiences mainly come from Korea, very little attendees from other countries. And in other words, theater in Korea is a lower fan-based market with the heavy theater goers who watch their favorite shows again and again, multiple times. So, and I believe some of the distinct features have mostly formed in those group of people, and they prefer to focus on the stage itself rather than enjoy with the other spectators during the show. So that is called the 관객. So they just want to focus on the show. So I mean, the strong fan prefer to interact with the actors than with the others when it is performing. That's one of the reasons that Korean theater has a distinct characteristics in audience members.
Well, thank you for your insights, Professor. I have one last question for you. Though our fervent passion at theaters is worth applauding, there are some things we need to work on to better our etiquette. What do you think needs to be done here?
Personally, I totally understand that some of the theater fans would like to focus on silence and watch more details of their favorite shows. However, theater is a live entertainment, and spectatorship is one of the most important features which make it different and special from other media or entertainment forms. So I think the theater community in Korea would need to embrace more diverse culture and have more flexible rules in order to enjoy the shows with the others. More specifically, I believe the public theatrical organizations in Korea would make a kind of yes or manner for theater and offer to the audience members.
Professor Ji, I have one last question for you. Do you think compared to other parts of the world, Korea has one unique way of looking at concerts? Is there one unique trait that we may have that might not be found in other parts of the world?
As I mentioned earlier, it depends on the genre of the performing arts. The K-pop is a totally fan base. Like they just wanted to see more about their artists and like learn about the shows and the songs, sing together with the songs together, like that's at that tongue. But a musical theater and a straight play is a totally different. So in Korea, the one unique thing is like we call like it's called like they see the same shows again and again, like multiple times.
That's right.
So they know the shows very well. So it's a totally different the group of people in audience members already. And we don't really have the tourist members. So that's totally one of the mainly different things in other countries.
Right. The reason why I asked is I feel that Korea does have a lot of unique traits when it comes to watching concerts. And I think some other countries can blueprint off of our culture as well as us trying to follow their etiquette as well. As you mentioned, I think it's really important for us to know that once we go to these concerts, it's a live performance. So it's always not the best to stay there like a dead corpse, rather than trying to really enjoy and just really put out our fullest at this immersive experience. Thank you so much, Professor Ji. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you.
All right, now I'm going to ask you guys the same question before we end off. Korea does have a lot of unique traits when it comes to watching concerts and enjoying them, but I do think we need to better work on bettering our etiquette. So how would you like to see our concert culture develop from here?
Look, Korean culture is developing. Concert culture, is developing steadily here in Korea, and I think Korea has come a long way in this sector. And although we still have room for improvement in terms of audience etiquette, and of course, fans like extreme fans, taking it to the next level, being, I guess, overly sensitive and trying to have this extreme personal interaction with their, the singers and the artists, but in terms of just normal audience, we don't have that kind of interaction, and we don't want to take it that far. We just want to experience, just the performance as it is purely. But there are obviously going to be, just the extreme people who, take it too seriously,
Take it up a
and
notch,
that can really affect the overall mood of the culture, performance culture. But I think we are on the right track. Korea is becoming a more developed and sophisticated country in terms of performance culture. So I think we're heading in the right direction for now.
I do too. Given that we are a cultural hub that represents the world, I do think that there's a lot of traits that other countries can try to take note of. What do you think about this?
I honestly think Korea has the best concert culture in the world.
that's
I
really
really do. It's wonderful being on both sides. I've experienced both ways, and I just think it's phenomenal. The professor mentioned that there are many fans here who will see the shows over and over again.
Right.
And I've read reviews of fans that have come to see the triple and double cast with every different combination.
Wow.
So they're just so dedicated, and I think that's a beautiful thing. But like I mentioned earlier, what we have to be cautionary about is that people can take advantage of that. So I do think that the government should look into stricter anti-scalping laws and also looking into making the ticketing process more fair so that real humans, real fans are the ones that can get in front of their favorite artists.
All to better enjoy a live performance.
That's right.
And hopefully we'll see that soon. But in the meantime, we'll be here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks to Park Ki-hoon
Always a pleasure.
and Brooke Prince.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you everyone for watching and have a wonderful weekend. We are
News Generation.